Hey guys, it's BHA here bringing you a new video. So of course we are now in 2024 and we are going to be looking at another great product from Treatlife. The great folks over at Treatlife sent me over another one of their cameras to show you guys. This is the Outdoor PTZ camera. It is the PS10 model. Now this is a 5 megapixel 3x zoom PTZ camera. You can pick it up for about 70 bucks on Amazon or even Treatlife's website directly. So if you're looking for some outdoor cameras that you can integrate into the Treatlife app or possibly even the Tuya app, I don't know yet, we'll have to take a look at it and see, then this is definitely something worth checking out. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, as I kind of already mentioned, this is available on Amazon's website for about 70 bucks. I've seen some coupons show up on Amazon for this camera over the past few months, so you may want to keep an eye out. There certainly could be one coming available again. I haven't heard directly from Treatlife, but those do tend to pop up, so make sure that you're keeping an eye out for something like that. But nonetheless, let's get started. Let's get this camera opened up here. So as you can see on the outside of the box, they got all the information about the camera itself and everything that comes inside the box. But if we go ahead and get this thing opened up here, right there on the top are the instructions for getting this camera set up. There isn't a whole lot of stuff that comes in this box. So here we have the camera itself. As you can see, it is your somewhat standard PTZ design for outdoor cameras. A lot of these have that same kind of design there. The power cable on this one is actually hardwired into the camera. So most of the time you'll have a USB cord that just kind of plugs into the back, but this one is actually hardwired in. So then you would just, of course, run that to the power brick that you see here for powering this camera up. Let's see what else we got. We got mounting screws and anchors for getting this camera installed. And you can see here on the back of the camera itself here, this is actually the little mounting bracket part here. It's kind of comes off the camera here. The camera will just kind of snap into that. On the back of the camera is where the SD card slot is for local storage as well. But that's pretty much everything that comes in the box. Let's go ahead and move on to the next step and we'll get this camera installed. Alright, so installing this camera is actually going to be pretty easy. I have my trusty post that's on the front side of my house that I use for a lot of my camera testing. If you've seen any of my previous videos, especially the outdoor camera videos, then I guarantee that you've seen me mount cameras on this post here. But you can see this camera should have a pretty decent area to cover here, my entire front yard. Here in the next clip, this is where I have the mounting bracket actually already installed. Just took 2 screws, pretty easy to do there. And then with the mounting bracket installed, then we're able to just kind of slide this camera onto the mounting bracket. And then there are 2 small screws, if you can kind of see that there underneath, that you can put in place to just kind of secure that camera to the bracket and keep it from falling off. All right, you can see in this last clip, we have the camera installed and powered on. Everything looks good there, and if you look closely, you can see the flashing light showing there on the camera, so we know the camera is in pairing mode. And that's all it takes for getting this camera mounted outside. Let's go ahead and move on to the next step, and we'll get the camera added into the Treatlife app. Here we are in the Treatlife app. It's pretty easy to add devices to the app. If we hit the plus in the top corner there, you can see there's 2 cameras that are showing right there in the camera section. So we're going to select the PS10 Outdoor camera. And if we haven't already, then of course it asks us to power on the camera, which of course we already have ours ready to go. Now it's asking us to put in the Wi-Fi SSID and password for our home Wi-Fi network. Now the cool thing about this camera is that it does support both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, so either one of those will work. So we'll plug in that information here. We're going to hit next, and now we need to hold this QR code in front of the camera so that it can scan it. And you'll kind of have to play around with it. You may have to lighten your screen a little bit, and then you'll just kind of have to move it back and forth in front of the camera until you can get that right spot. Once you hear it prompt that it has scanned the QR code, then we can continue, and it will begin communicating between the phone and the camera. We'll give it a few seconds there to get it all completed, and it is now added successfully. So right here at the beginning, we can change the name here if we want to, but other than that, we are done. We now have the camera added into the Treatlife app. Let's go ahead and move on to the next step, and we'll go over the config options in the app for the camera. Okay, so here we are back in the app, and you can see right there on the main screen there is the outdoor cam, and it shows you right there that privacy mode is currently turned off, as well as auto tracking is currently turned off. But if we click on that here, it opens up the camera. The image looks pretty good there. It's nighttime, so you can kind of see what that looks like using infrared. But if we click on the bottom here to see all the buttons, we got playback and gallery for our recordings and snapshots. We can change the theme color. I prefer the dark theme. I think it looks a little bit better than the light theme. If we wanted to enable private mode, we could do that here. And of course, that basically turns off the camera. Now along the bottom there, we got HDR settings. We got night mode. We can turn on the spotlight and even enable auto tracking if we wanted to. There's one more row of icons down at the bottom there. We got motion detection, sound detection. There's a patrol if we wanted to have the camera start patrolling the area. And then of course, siren if we needed to sound the alarm. These buttons were all listed in the features area there at the bottom. If we go over to the next one, there's View Plus, which is where you can go to look at their subscription service. If you want to take advantage of that, you can purchase a subscription there. Under presets, this is where we can set a preset spot that it'll go back to after a period of time. Next is our PTZ controls, where we can move the camera around if we wanted to. And then of course messages is where you will see their most recent notifications. They'll kind of all show up there in that little window. But if we go to settings up in the top corner there, right there at the top, we can change the name if we wanted to. And of course, view the device information. We have the ability to set up automations right there within the Treatlife app. And then underneath that is the Alexa and Google Home settings as well. Just under that is the private mode that we can toggle on and off, just like we could from the front menu there. We also can do it within the settings here as well. Under basic settings, we can disable the status light on the front of the camera, or even flip the image if we have that camera mounted from up above. We also have the ability to turn off that watermark, that's that Treatlife watermark on the actual video image if we wanted to. Under night mode is where we can decide if we want it to be color night mode all the time, or infrared night mode, or if we just want to set it to auto, which will kind of go between the two as it needs to. Auto is what it defaults to. I'm going to leave it that way for now. Under display settings, we can adjust the brightness, contrast, and sharpness of the image. Again, I usually leave these settings default unless you feel like the image quality is not where you want it to be. It's right there in the middle for the default settings, and I think that's a pretty good spot, at least to start with. I'm not sure why they don't have a specific section for motion detection, but they kind of hide it here under alert settings. So this is where we can enable motion detection and even turn on auto tracking if we wanted to. You have the ability to set up detection areas if you wanted it to only monitor certain areas. You could do that here. We can even turn on human detection, so that's kind of cool. If you do want it to do person marking, you can do that here as well, where it'll put a little frame around a person as they show up on screen. And then of course down there towards the bottom you have sound detection settings. I don't usually mess with sound detection with the camera being outside. I just feel like you're going to pick up too much noise that you don't really want it to be alerting on. Under siren settings is where we can adjust the volume of the siren. Alright, so OnVIF. This is the cool feature that I like for this camera, because if you already have an NVR that maybe you use for some other cameras around your house, then you can actually add this camera to your NVR as well and have it record the video footage for this camera onto your NVR using OnVIF. Assuming that your NVR does support OnVIF, which most of them nowadays do, basically we just set the password here for OnVIF, and then we can go into our NVR configuration and add this camera by IP address and of course the OnVIF password, and we'll get it added into the NVR. Let's see what else we got. So we can turn on vehicle detection. So we talked about human detection and person marking before. We also have the ability to turn on vehicle detection as well. Again, not sure why this didn't show up in the same area as the human detection. They have a whole nother spot for it, but here it is, so you can enable that. And then under the SMS and call notifications, this is kind of where you can look at their cloud service again if you want, as well as you can pay for a number of SMS messages or phone calls. If you want to get those types of alerts, you can buy a package of those and get those alerts as well. I'm pretty happy with just the push notifications from within the Treatlife app, so I don't feel like you really need these other types of notifications, but they're certainly available to you if you want to use those. If you enable offline notification, you can get an alert in the Treatlife app. Basically, if it goes off for an extended amount of time, it will give you a push notification letting you know that the camera is no longer accessible. But other than that, along the bottom there, you can check for firmware updates if you wanted to, or even restart the camera itself if you're having issues. But that's about it as far as what all you can do within the Treatlife app for this camera. So let's go ahead and move on to the last step. I'll show you some footage from the camera and give you my final thoughts. Okay, so for starters, let's take a look at some footage recorded from the camera itself. So here we have some nighttime footage, and you can see it's raining here, but still looks fairly decent. We're going to move the controls around here just to kind of show you what all that looks like, and we can even zoom in and out here if we want to, and you can see it works really well. And we can do the same thing in some daytime footage also, just to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like in the daytime with a little bit clearer image as well, and it looks really good. The quality of the camera is pretty comparable to what we find with other PTZ cameras like this. Now, as for the price tag, it may be a little on the higher end. In the past, Treatlife products would work with the Tuya app, even including the Smartlife devices as well. So you could kind of use everything under the Tuya app, which made it pretty nice, kind of a one-stop shop for all of your devices. But currently, these two cameras do not work with the Tuya app. It's a bit of a bummer. I'm not sure if it's just a firmware update that will be required, or if they're really trying to separate themselves from that Tuya app. I don't really know. I really like Treatlife and love the fact that you can enable OnVIF on this camera and be able to pull it into an NVR or even into Home Assistant, which makes it a much nicer feature there to be able to get those cameras into Home Assistant. But I'm not going to lie, I feel like it could be a little bit cheaper. As I said before, I have seen coupons on Amazon's website that discount this camera some. So if you are interested in this camera or their other indoor camera that I just recently did a video on, keep an eye out for those coupons, because they do come in on Amazon's website from time to time. Nonetheless, I'll have links to Treatlife's website as well as their Amazon storefront in the description below. If you aren't interested in this camera, head over there and see what else they have to offer.
want to thank everybody for donating to my Buy Me a Coffee link. Every little bit helps. If you haven't had a chance, head over to my spring merchandise page and check out all of the Burns home automation merchandise. And if you're looking for the latest smart home gear, you're going to want to check out Smonet. I'll have a link in the description below. Head over there and see what deals they currently have running. If you're looking for the latest smart window treatment, you're going to want to check out Smartwings. I'll have a link in the description below for them as well. Head over there and see what deals they currently have running. If you're interested in buying and selling stock or maybe cryptocurrency, you're going to want to check out Robinhood. I'll have a link in the description below. If you sign up with that link, you and I both will get a free share of stock. It's a win-win for both of us. If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comments below. As always, if there are any videos out there that you would like to see that I don't already have out there, let me know in the comments as well, and I'll see if I can't get something put together for you guys. Otherwise, I'll see you guys around.